Welcome back to ciLiving on WCIA3. Just a couple weekends ago, the American Collegiate Rowing Association hosted their national championship in Georgia.
It's what teams from across the country work towards each year, and some Central Illinois rowers put the paddle to the metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not exactly, but it's a sport that didn't exist here 10 years ago, but over the weekend, the University of Illinois rowing teams took 2/5, a fourth, and the top spot. I visited with the team before nationals to learn more about this rising sport.
I did not realize just how many components of movement there actually are in each stroke. Both of your hands are doing different things. You need to make sure that you have the same amount of pressure off of both legs, making sure that your knees don't roll up too far. Like, you are literally focusing on every part of your body.
Most people at the university have no idea we even have a team, which makes sense. They don't know where we would practice. They always ask, where do you go? And is the pool big enough? No.
We started back in 2005. And back then it was a recreational rowing program. So it was a, who's interested in rowing, go out a couple times a week. It was a much more social environment, but at the same time, they did go out, they did have competitions, but you could see it in the results. They weren't doing as well. When I came in 2008, I basically asked the team, do you want to go to a varsity level, train every single day? Obviously not varsity in name, but varsity in the way we approach it. And they were all on board.
The team has come out here. During the school year, they're out here at 5:30 every morning, getting their time in on the water, getting their reps.
It's a tough sport to do. It's a very rewarding sport, but it's very tough. And especially in a 2K race, you get to the first 1,000 meters and you think, yeah, I'm going for it. And then you start tiring down, but it's having that strength to know that you can build it back up. And that's something we've done a lot of races this semester, so building that up has been challenging.
A race piece is like doing 200 to 300 squats down a race course.
Yep.
So
aerobic squats.
Aerobic squats, honestly, because, or even like jumpies or something, but you are literally curling up your entire body, and then the most force is coming from hooking onto the water and then engaging your legs, and then your body will move back. And then finally your arms just finish the stroke and get the oar out of the water so you can move on to the next one.
The sport is predominantly a leg sport. Most people don't realize, but you're actually driving mostly with your legs. All the boats have sliding seats in them. So the idea is everybody is trying to catch at the same time. That means everybody's putting the blades in exactly the same time, same part of the stroke, and trying to make sure that they're applying as much pressure as possible. There's a lot of technical backing that goes into it. A lot of work that needs to be done, just making sure everybody is mechanically functioning properly.
If you have a lot of strength, that definitely helps, but technique is really where it pulls through. So if you have good technique in a boat, you could, Danny and Meredith can squat so much more than I can.
They can squat pretty much as we weigh.
Yeah.
Which is unnerving.
It is a little scary. But in a boat, they're definitely gonna have more power than I have in a boat because of their strength. But if their technique was bad and mine was better, I could be pulling at the same speeds that they were in a boat. So there's a balance that you need to find.
It's just a very meticulous, nonverbal communication that goes throughout constantly throughout an entire piece.
It's just a giant game of telephone.
Yep.
Really?
It is, honestly. If you look at a boat, if you think about like the reaction time from looking at a person in front of you and then realizing that that's what you're supposed to be doing at the exact same time, there can be a very distinct difference between a person in the front of the boat and the last person in the boat, especially in an 8-person unit. And so it's our job to make sure that we are as exact as possible. So it's a lot about anticipation. Otherwise it does look like a really bad game of telephone. And then you really slow down if you're not all together.
It's really all about just staying together in community and really being in sync with your teammates and knowing each other. So that's a good time.
Getting up at 4:30 to come out and row might not seem that great, but when you're on the water in the morning and you just hear the water gliding under the boat when it's really set and the sun's coming up, it's one of the most relaxing times. Even though you are working out, it's, for me, one of the best times of the day is getting up and rowing in the mornings.
When the boat is together, it's so great, especially during a race. When the boat is together in a race and you're winning.
Yeah. That feels pretty awesome.
Winning's great.
Winning is amazing, but honestly, even just during a practice, there's a moment when your entire team rows together and you can actually start hearing the boat getting faster by some water rushing underneath the boat, and that is an exhilarating moment when you can just kind of hear that and be like, oh my gosh, we're doing great.
I like how rowing is facing everyone, so that when you cross the finishing line, you can be like, ha 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 ha.
You know everyone you beat.
You can see everyone you pass. As opposed to running where you cross the finishing line and you have to look around to check. Rowing, you can see it, and it's a good feeling.
A lot of coordination.
Yeah, well, and speaking of coordination, when I went out and did this story, it was right after all that bad weather around here, and the water was choppy, and we were in this tiny little boat, and that's the assistant coach there. It was me and him in like this little boat the size of a garbage can, pretty much. And so I guess I was too heavy, so.
Are you bailing water?
That's him pumping water out.
Oh my goodness. But you had a great time.
Oh, it was actually really nice. I got completely soaked.
And luckily you didn't have to wake up at 4:30 like they normally do.
Right, I got there maybe at 9 or something.
Nice.
Or, I don't know,
A
8.
shout out to our own Danielle Sauber, our U-Vice chef.
Right.
So that was good to see her. Well, coming up, we'll be right back, I guess. We're getting this.